So we are moving with embryology session, and this is remaining part of chapter 3 and general embryology part 4, first week of development, ovulation to implantation, formation module part 4. So we have objectives: cleavage, blastocyst formation, and uterine cycle. Cleavage is a series of mitotic division whereby the enormous volume of egg cytoplasm is divided into numerous small nucleated cells, or we can say that cell divides into many small cells by mitosis. Once the zygote has reached two-cell stage, here is the two-cell stage, it undergoes series of mitotic division, becomes small and small, and are called blastomeres. Here is the blastomeres, 1, 2, 3, 4. At 8-cell stage, blastomeres maximize contact by the process of compactation. Cells communicate by the gap junctions. So cell become a compact mass which has maximum contact. Before that, they are loosely contacted with each other. At the third day of fertilization, morula is formed, which is 16th cell stage. So the M of the morula looks like 3. So at third day of fertilization, and L and A, that are the last letters, look like 16. So it is 16th cell mass. So we can say third day of fertilization, cells of compacted embryo divide again to form 16th cell stage morula or mulberry shaped. The inner cell mass of the morula forms embryoblast, outer cell mass of the morula forms trophoblast, which forms placenta. So if you see the end letters of the word inner, we have ER, so it forms ER, embryoblast. Whereas the outer, we have T and O, it forms trophoblast, which forms placenta. So phoblast has 8 letters and placenta has 8 letters, and this has P in it, whereas there is no P in embryoblast. So trophoblast with P forms placenta. Here you can see the inner cell mass forms embryoblast, whereas the outer cell mass, the outer periphery forms trophoblast cells or the trophoblast. Next we have blastocyst formation. When morula enters uterine cavity, fluid begins to penetrate through zona pellucida into intercellular spaces of the inner cell mass, which becomes single cavity, which is called blastocyst cavity or blastocele. Here is the blastocele or blastocyst cavity, which is the fluid that begins to enter the zona pellucida. This layer is the zona pellucida, which we discussed earlier, which is the outer glycoprotein layer. Here is the zona pellucida. And at this time, embryo is blastocyst. Inner cell mass, again, we discussed that it gives embryoblast at one pole. Here is the one pole which forms embryoblast. Outer cell mass, trophoblast from the epithelial cell wall. Here is the trophoblast that is formed. Now, zona pellucida disappears, allowing the implantation to implant. The glycoprotein layer disappears. Trophoblastic cell over the embryoblast begin to penetrate epithelial cells of uterine mucosa at the 6th day. Here you can see that there is embryoblast and trophoblastic cell over the embryoblast begin to penetrate the uterine mucosa. As the implantation takes place in uterine mucosa, selectins on the trophoblast, this is the molecule which bind to the carbohydrate receptor on the uterine epithelium. Here the selectin binds to the carbohydrate receptors on the uterine epithelium. So for first week of development, remember that we have word Z bomb. For Z we have zygote, for B we have blastomeres, for MO we have morula, which is third day and 16 cell division, and for the B we have blastocyst, and cyst is this, we can see that this is called the cyst, and cyst is for the word cavity, so the blastocyst is the one which has cavity in it. Uterus at the time of implantation. So basically the fertilization takes place in the this part of fallopian tube. The sperm moves from the this passage and the egg moves from the ovary to here, and the fertilization takes place somewhere here, and then it moves to the uterus to get implanted. Here you can see in the GIF how it is implanted. Next, we have the layers of uterus. From outside to inside, we have perimetrium, that is outer cover. Here is the perimetrium. Then we have myometrium, that is smooth muscle layer. Here is the myometrium. And then we have endometrium, that is the inner mucosa lining. Here is the endometrium. So we have EMP, inside to outside, alphabetical order. From the inside, we have endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium, and this is the alphabetical order. Next, we have menstrual cycle, and remember the word camps. So for M, we have menstruation, P, we have proliferative phase, and for the S, we have secretory phase. So the proliferative phase is same as the ovarian follicular phase, and the secretory phase is same as the ovarian luteal phase, and the proliferative phase is under the effect of FSH, as we discussed that the follicular phase was under the effect of FSH, and secretory phase is under the effect of LH or progesterone with the ovarian luteal phase. Proliferative phase begins at the end of the menstrual cycle under the effect of estrogen from FSH. Parallel to this, there is growth of ovarian follicle. Secretory phase is 2 to 3 days after the ovulation response to progesterone from the LH. If no fertilization, shedding of the endometrium layers, there is menstruation. From puberty to menopause, there is 28 days cycle normally. Here is the structure of the uterus again. The proliferative and secretory phase. In proliferative and secretory phase, there is thick layers of the endometrium. Here is the thick layers of the endometrium, and at the time of implantation, we have secretory phase, which is the thickest phase, which has rich in blood supply. In the menstruation, there is shedding of the endometrial layers. During menstruation, sinusoidal spaces fill with blood, compact and spongy layers break, blood escapes. So endometrium has three layers. Compact layer, here is the compact layer which is at the top, then we have spongy layer, here is the spongy layer which is at the mid, and then there is basal layer. Basal layer is this one at the bottom. So both of the compact and spongy layers are removed in the process of menstruation. From here, they are removed. In the basal layer, it is not removed in the menstruation as it is regenerative and it forms again the basis of the spongy and compact layer. It starts the proliferative phase, contains the basal artery. Here is the basal artery. If fertilization occurs, endometrium assists in the implantation and placenta forms. Endometrium in the secretory phase, here is the endometrium which is in the secretory phase and it is the thickest and it helps to the blastocyst to implant. So blastocyst of the 6 days reaches and it implants. So remember that the plants is 6 letter and it plants at the 6th day. Here we again discuss the structure of uterus. From the outer to inner layer, we have first basal layer of the endometrium, then we have spongy layer of the endometrium, then we have compactum layer of the endometrium. Only basal layer remains after menstruation. Both the compact and spongy layers are removed in the form of clots and blood. Endometrial layers, remember the word abscess. Here is the abscess, that is pustule cavity that is formed. So for B we have basal layer, for S we have spongy layer, and for C we have compact layer. This is from out to inwards. If you have any question, let me know. Thank you.